Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Just talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt, man! Alright! Episode 246 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Rodney from Don't Lose Hope in Oregon and Miles from Miles T-Shirts in Illinois. Let's go!
Hey guys, welcome to the Shirt Show. Today I talked to Rodney from Don't Lose Hope and Miles from Miles T-Shirt. I respect both of these guys a ton. They're both great guys in our industry that are trying to educate and move things forward. So I'm all about that. We got into some really cool discussions about where they've been for the last couple of years because they both were on the show. We got into discussions about what kind of managers we should be, what kind of shop owners we should be, buying shops or not buying shops or upgrading our equipment. And then we really started to dive into apparel blanks and, you know, how manufacturers and distributors might not have education on those things that would really help us as decorators. We also got into the weeds on a couple things too, like hair. So I'm sorry about that. Let's talk about this episode's sponsors. It all starts with a screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. They also offer custom racking and a wide range of other print supplies. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, ffffrank.com, or greatfuckingscreens.com. Frank's the best. If you guys aren't getting your screens from Frank and Graphic Screen Fashion, you don't know what's up. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay, it's the easiest way. I got into a conversation with Alex and the marketing department over at EasyWay, and we might try to do some cool collab where we can, you know, give away some supplies, some chemicals. So keep an eye out for that. Graphics is a source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphicsource.com. One other thing you might not know about GraphicSource is they offer digitizing services. So if you're looking for that and you're looking for someone you can trust and not some random caller trying to get you to use digitizing, definitely check them out. S&S has been our go-to apparel source since day one. Discover an extensive range of apparel that blends innovative design with unbeatable comfort. Their customer service and quality control are the best out there. Check them out at ssactivewear.com. If you haven't tried the American Apparel 1301 garment dyed shirt yet, you are missing out. This heavyweight cotton shirt that has the rough and tumble vibe of your favorite concert tee with a wide rib collar and that vintage faded look, this shirt will definitely be in your weekly wardrobe rotation. Ask your rep to get some for your showroom today. It's a great shirt. It's sweet. I like it a lot. For over 90 years, Stahls has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate in our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to get taught a thing or two. We also have some really cool stuff in the works with Stahls and some collaborations on patches and whatnot. So keep an eye out for that. I'm excited for it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who listens to the show, watches the show, is involved with the show. You guys are amazing. The community we've built is one of the best things I've ever done. So I just want to say I appreciate you all. I love you all. If you could do me a favor and like the show, subscribe on YouTube, comment, give a thumbs up, something to show you're there, I would really appreciate it. It helps me out. It helps me engage with you guys a little bit more and hear what you thought of the show, or if you have suggestions, or if you have shop hacks or whatever. I'm really trying to build this community more and make it more of a hub for any kind of print knowledge. So if you guys could send me a message or a comment on something and just say, hey, I know this shop, they'd be really great on the show, or hey, do you guys want to get into this topic? It would really mean a lot to me. Please let me know. I really want to hear from you. That would be great. But thanks guys for listening, and check out this episode. It's a good one. What's up, Ansem?
Hey, what's up?
So it's bright and early there.
Dude, yeah, it's 9, but our team starts at 7, so it's
really?
not like, yeah.
Oh, that's
so we
super
do,
early.
Yeah, I know. So we do 410s Tuesday through Friday. So they work 7 to 5. Well, production, I guess. Sales works 9 to 5. So
I don't think I could ever get my team to do that. Like they have a hard time getting here at 9.
Yeah. I don't know. Our team had a hard time getting here at 9. And then after we had Kasperian out like 2 years ago, he's like, have you considered the 4-day work week for production? And we brought it up to them. It was like, well, what do you guys think? Like, is this something you'd want to try? You have to be here at 7 and be a 3-day weekend. And it's been pretty good. We have one guy that his attendance is a little lackluster, but yeah, but I don't know. We're actually switching him. I don't know. We're kind of changing. Like he just switched to do 7 to 3, 5 days a week. So we'll see. Because we realized that being closed on Monday was kind of starting to give us bottlenecks with like shipping and receiving and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. Like I don't necessarily want to be here at 7 in the morning. Like I don't know, as an owner too, like I feel like I get up and I get here when I get here, but I'm trying to be here by 9. But so I can't be that guy of just like, oh, you're not here when like, you know, I kind of roll in.
Yeah.
I roll in, but I like them to at least be here. What kind is that? Is that the Dead Billionaire?
No, it is the Grim Leafer.
I haven't had that one. Well, I think maybe I did, but I like the Dead Billionaire one, the Arnold Palmer, basically.
Dude, yeah, that one's good. Now this is like the tea and agave.
So it has some sweetener in it.
Yeah, it's sweet tea.
Yeah, that's why I can't do. I have trusty. I have McDonald's unsweetened.
Oh, sick, dude.
It's kind of gross, but it's I get my fix however I can get it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and well, so we used to do that 9 to 5, and then I don't know, but in Oregon, I mean, same thing probably where you're at. I mean, in the winter when it's dark at 4 o'clock in the winter,
3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's like, dude, getting off work is so depressing, and so. You know, we started that like 7 to 3 thing, and I was like, dude, like, I think it's worth a shot because like you guys can get off work and still have daylight. And right now, you know, sunset's like 5:30 or something like that right now here. And so, I mean, when they get off, like that one guy when he gets off at 3, he's like, dude, I can go golf, I can go to the gym and still light out. And so I don't know, like the benefits started to outweigh the fact that they have to get up really early. The fact that they can have a longer evening. So, yeah,
I don't know. I've always thought about the 4-day work week thing, and I don't know. I feel like certain people I talk to are like, yeah, it rules, and some people I talk to, it's like, well, we just end up filling the time on the other days that we have off. So it's kind of like we're just working more, if anything.
Yeah, that can happen. It's really easy to just be like, well, we need to come in on Monday because we're going to be screwed if we don't. So, but then it's really quick to just be like, cool, everybody has freaking 8 hours of overtime on this pay period. And it's like, well, that was expensive.
Yeah. I was looking back because you had asked me, and I had already had like a note of all the past guests that we've had, so I can look through and be like, oh yeah, like this guy was great, or I'd like to catch up with this person or whatever. And I noticed that your episode was 116, and that was 2 years ago.
That's gnarly. Yeah, I think you're also at that point, I feel like, where like today I was like, you know, Lisa and I were talking about it, and I was like, you're kind of at that point where I think circling back to people is totally okay.
Well, the sad part too is I look back at some of these places, and like some of these places don't even exist anymore. Like their shop is gone. You know what I mean? Like something happened, or they're gone, or they sold, or whatever. And it's kind of like, damn. But then again, too, like there's certain shops that we talked to that they were like, oh, we're in this, you know, we're about to move, and you know, we're about to this and this, and then it's like, yeah, that was like 3-4 years ago. Like, where are they at now? You know what I mean? Like, there's There's so much more story. I mean, the other thing too is I'm at like episode like I don't even know right now, like 240, 250 or whatever it is. And like that's only 250 shops, really.
Yeah.
Like there's so many more. So it's like, do I go back and talk to some people that I've already talked to, or do I just hit up the next 30,000 shops that are out there?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think both are interesting, of course. And circling back to folks, I mean, dude, my shop has changed a lot in 2 years or since our first episode that we did, equipment and team and who we're printing for and all that fun stuff. Life.
I mean,
stuff,
it doesn't take long to evolve. You know what I mean? Like stuff changes here daily.
Yeah. And then I also I reached out to I have some shops like that I talked to. I was like, I don't think they've been on yet that I think would be good. And I'll work on a list for you just for fun. But then I also reached out to our Ryanet rep. I'm pretty close with him. And I just I didn't say anything. I was just like, hey, if I was to interview some shops for a project, in the Northwest, I was like, who do you think would be a good shop that has good, and he listed 10 shops to me, and I've heard of some of them, but some of them I hadn't, and I started looking them up, and I was like, I don't know who they are, but I started looking and I was like, yeah, they could totally be a really good candidate to talk to. So, yeah.
And the hard part for me is I talk to so many shops on the regular that I tend to find that I'm in my own kind of bubble. You know what I mean? There's so many shops out there and I'm constantly looking through and seeing who's new and what's happening. So yeah, it's awesome to get feedback from other people like you and whoever else to be like, oh, did you hear this place? Did you hear this place? We just did that episode last with the school teacher and that was from Kevin. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So it's really cool. So yeah, I wanted to say that too, just in general for the show, if anyone listening, has a recommendation or somebody that has a really cool story or, whatever, send us a message. I would like to, or leave a comment on YouTube or whatever, with that place, because I'd definitely be down to explore new people and whatnot. But yeah, anyway, you said, a lot's changed in 2 years. What are your highlights? What's mega different about Don't Lose Hope?
Well, yeah, I mean, we definitely upgraded equipment. So, I mean, we changed out our auto. When I was first on, we had a 6.8 auto, and now we have an 11-12, and we have multiple flashes, and we can print.
Did you just swap them out?
Yeah. So we stuck with Anatol for that swap out. We were exploring all options when that happened. So we, I was looking at Cobras, I was looking at a Rock, et cetera. I did want to do something that was flat index. But ultimately, being a one auto shop and doing the volume that we were doing, it was going to be pretty tricky, especially with our space. I didn't have a place to put the Anatol and install another brand press. And then we had to sell the Anatol private party. Embellisher was not really a thing yet. And so I didn't really want to deal with that.
You don't want to do the Craigslist or the Facebook thing
well, yeah. I mean, we would have just been down for who knows how long. Could have been down for 3 or 4 weeks doing that, where then we approached Anatol and said, hey, we want to go bigger. We want to go to a Volt. We want, the top of the line unit where it's fully servo. There's touchscreens on everything. It has the upgraded monitor and,
you just wanted the fancy new toy.
Yeah. We have all the add-ons. We have fans and the iron and, a roller. We have a new roller on the way, actually, that we're going to try out for them and see how that goes. But
I kind of want to talk to you about that. Remind me later. I want to ask Miles too.
Yeah. Okay. And so, we did that and, I was like, hey, can we do a trade-in? And they were like, yeah. And the trade-in was in our favor. So it took care of, the outstanding that was on our current unit plus some. And then it was really fast. The new press showed up, the tech showed up the next day. It took down the old one, put together the new one. We had it all swapped within 4 days.
That's amazing. So two questions with that is, one, is that something they normally offer? Some kind of trade-in, or was that special to you?
I think
want you
it
to
was
speak.
not
I want you to
special.
speak for Anatol right now.
Yeah. You can
For
trade
everybody
in
listening.
cars. You can trade in their electric presses. You can trade in electric Teslas. Whatever you want, man.
Right. They'll take it.
Yeah, they'll take it.
As long as it's the color red, they'll take it.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think it was special to me because we didn't have a super strong relationship with them at the time. I bought the old press from an old sales rep that wasn't there anymore. And then when I reached out about the new one, I got assigned who our current rep is, but a new one at the time. And I just kind of told them our scenario really. And yeah, they were super helpful. So I mean, I don't think it was special to me at all.
In reality, like, why wouldn't they? Like, they would want you to stick with them. They want you to get the bigger press. They want to service you. They want you to grow with you. So it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of probably a little bit of a pain in the ass unless they have people who would be willing to buy the used press. You know what I mean? Like, they could probably turn that around tomorrow with their network and be like, oh, hey, you're looking for this press. It's, 75%.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't really know that they had or if they do or not have a used marketplace, but I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. I was like, there's all kinds of places that have I was talking to we had Monarch Ian out here for an open house that we did. And I was talking to them about Monarch, and they have a whole Anatol print shop at their, ink lab or whatever.
To do all the
and I was
testing,
like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I was like, there's places like that, I'm sure, could you just use a used or a lightly used piece of equipment or something like that, or if they're trying to work on deals or something. But
the other question with that is, my biggest thing with selling equipment, and I hate selling used equipment. Like, I loathe it. Like, I would rather just get it. Like, I almost always am like, you have to come pick it up. Like, crating's on you, delivery's on you. I've had nightmares. Like, I sold a Sprint dryer forever ago, and I cleaned it, polished it, went through the whole thing, greased everything. I was like, I want to give this to somebody that they can go ahead and just start using, and they're not going to be like, oh, it's dirty, or this needs replaced, or this needs replaced, whatever. Went through, did the whole thing, palletized it, got it ready. The person who bought it, because I wanted the shipping to be totally under them. I'm like, I don't want to be responsible for the shipping, whatever. So they ended up getting the cheapest shipping possible, which, I mean, it's kind of like a get what you pay for situation. Well, anyway, with this dryer in the center section, you have to have fork extensions to pick it up. Oh yeah, so long. Sure. So anyway, when we got the FedEx or whatever truck it was that came, freight truck, we put it on the truck with our pallet or with our forklift and the extensions. But when it got to FedEx to transfer from one truck to the next, that forklift guy did not use extensions, and it fell off the forklift and annihilated it. It was broken forever, unusable. They had to file an insurance claim, and it was this whole thing. So it just collapsed it, crushed the whole center section.
Yeah. I don't want to deal with that at all.
Which is why cool things like Embellisher exist, where they handle the whole process.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then today actually we have our CTS is showing up, so we have a Doubt that's showing up. Speaking of freight, hopefully it's all good.
I didn't even knock on wood because I didn't want to just jinx the shit out of you.
Yeah, so that's showing up, and then we have a coder showing up the next month, and
that's awesome.
We're getting ready to redo our whole darkroom experience. Awesome. So
are you super fucking pumped on that?
Yeah, I'm wicked pumped. Now's a good time to do it too, because we've hit a little bit of a lull. So I'm stoked to just play with it and nerd out and just get quicker. It's interesting. I know you've had that issue in the past, and sometimes gonna maybe bring up if the flow work. Talking with Miles was just man, we're getting faster at everything, and then now all of a sudden we're finishing the days sooner, and it's a really weird problem to have. So
I'm gonna make a note about those two things that we were talking about, because they are good topics.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, we got so much more we could talk about, but we might as well let Miles in because he's here, and then we can just shoot the shit together. So, hey, Miles, this is Rodney. I don't know if you two know each other. You both have awesome shops, and
we don't know each other personally, but I've definitely seen a lot of his social media. So I know of him and appreciate what he does.
You can recognize the mustache from anywhere.
Yeah.
He's got one of those mustaches like why am I blanking now? Where it looks like the two animals kissing. You know what I'm
yeah.
talking
You're thinking of the Post
Yeah.
Malone?
Post Malone mustache. Yeah.
Well, it's the best I got. So, yeah.
Find out it's fake this whole time. You apply it every morning.
Yeah, last year for my birthday, the team like had a surprise birthday party for me, and it was The Office themed. I know Dylan doesn't like The Office, but I love The Office. But besides that, yeah, they all like I walked into the room and everyone was wearing fake mustaches or like was holding up these little like cardboard mustaches. It was priceless. It was hilarious.
Nice.
I'm having a rough time. I say rough time loosely, but like my son is at that age where he's growing a lot of facial hair basically, and he refuses to shave his mustache. And I'm like, dude, your first choice in life can't be mustache. Like that's something you graduate to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's just like straight up 9th grade fucking mustache. Like everything else shaved, hard mustache.
I mean,
Patchy.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I was
patchy as
so.
hell.
I'm still super patchy. So yeah, it took a long time to get into this life stage. So
Miles is just no hair. He's just
I just try to keep it all gone. I don't like to pay for haircuts or anything. Just come out there.
I get it.
I'm trying to keep mine from falling out right now, but yeah, we'll see.
Let's
Might
just
be
talk
bald
about
one
hair.
day.
I know.
Go ahead.
I see people that do the whatever they do and they get their hair grow back, and I think about it. Do I want to do that? Like, could I do that?
No,
Is it worth
you
it? I
don't
don't
wanna do that.
really. I don't really care about that. No. When
My
you drive through
favorite-
Chicago, they have all the billboards up of whatever football player.
Yeah, and it's like every
one.
billboard, every
Yeah.
single billboard is the hair thing. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that before too. You ever see those videos online on Instagram or whatever where the people do get the hair plugs or whatever, and their whole head swells?
That's
Like
scary.
they
I haven't
look
seen the
disgusting.
swell. I've just seen those videos where it's like the airplane and it's like a bunch of people that are leaving. I don't know where it's like Turkey or whatever, where they all just
Yeah.
went and had like the transplants or whatever. And it's just like you just see them in the airport. Like that's all. Every male there apparently is getting their hair transplants done.
Just specific flights.
Oh yeah, they should do that.
It's like the Disney plane basically. Like everyone on the
Yeah.
trip is booked for Disney, but this is all hair transplants.
Dude, that'd be epic.
So anyway, Miles, me and Rodney were kind of catching up when we were talking about presses and what's new and whatever. And I was looking back through past Shirt Show episodes because you're an alum, and you were episode 85 3 years ago.
Wow.
Dude,
Time flies.
That's a long time.
Might as well be episode 1. Jesus.
I actually had to hit up Chad yesterday or the day before because I was making this list that me and Rodney were talking about where I was like, oh, I should have like basically an Excel sheet of all the guests. And if you go to, I think Spotify and Apple, the oldest one it'll let you listen to is episode 45.
Oh,
Like,
really?
you can't go back to 1. So I was
Really?
like, dude, why does it start at 45? And he was like, oh, there was this thing. It should be good now. It goes back to 1. But I guess there's recommendation that you shouldn't go over 300. So when I get to episode 300, it's going to, if you want to listen to 1, you better get it done now. I mean, they're all on YouTube, but still, it's like
Okay.
if you're listening. So anyway, at some point, you're going to get cleared off. You're going to get cleared off the board, and it's going to be gone for forever. So.
We'll save it.
You should make like a DVD mega book.
It's gonna come back. DVDs are gonna come back. Don't worry.
Dude.
Laser disc.
Yeah. That'd be sick.
So anyway, we were saying that, a lot has to have happened in 3 years since the last time we talked. Like,
Yeah.
what are,
I mean, I think
what are
I got,
your major?
I think I got
things?
all new equipment in the last 3 years. Probably.
Really?
I mean,
Wow.
maybe it's been 4, but I mean, we bought 2 Cobras. We bought a Copperhead. We got a new Sprint 3000. Obviously, Ecotech. And it's like, I don't know that we had all that installed yet. Yeah, I know. So
I think that stuff was coming in, if I remember correctly, or I was looking at like your stories.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that stuff was on the way because it was on hold for like ever.
Is the Copperhead the tag press, or is that a bigger press?
It looks like a rock basically, but it's their,
No, I
it's
know,
their
but I'm
more
saying,
affordable one.
well, you had Cobras, so I was like, why would you get that?
Well, we had a rapid tag and it just wasn't very reliable. And I liked the copperheads that they had, the tag ones that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
But they were so expensive. And I'm like, I don't really print that many tags. So we ended up getting rid of the rapid tag, buying one of the copperheads. Once they changed over everything to where like the screen size was consistent, 2231, because before it was like a weird size and the boards were different. So once they got all that stuff, to where everything kind of worked together, it made sense to buy one of those. I mean, if I had more money, yeah, would I go back and buy maybe a Sportsman? Sure. But the price was right. And it's really kind of like an auxiliary press. If we have like a 10,000 bag order or something, I hate to tie up a Cobra with that, that way, just with the bigger single color, I think we only have 3 colors on it and a flash. So,
it's a nice extra press. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, we do tags on it. We do towels on it, but we were using the rapid tag for a lot of towels, and we had, or like sleeves. We had like that longer board and we're doing sleeves on it.
XL.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was cool. It's just not as heavy duty, when you start doing a ton of stuff, it wasn't what we liked. So
were you doing
Have you seen
towels
the
on
new
that for
rapid
the disc
tag?
golf stuff?
Sorry, that was 2 questions. Have I seen the new rapid tag? I didn't get to go to Long Beach this year, so no, I probably have not. I know how they have updated a lot of things, but yes, we do a lot of towels for disc golf too. I think that was both questions.
Well, I was wondering, because I know you're big into the disc golf thing, if that's what your main towel printing is for. Yeah,
definitely tens of thousands of towels.
Rodney, do you ever do towels? Because I never, ever do towels.
No, we do not.
No towels.
No towels.
How are you printing those, Miles?
I did do some disc golf towels back in the day. There was like a company here that did and Miles probably knows I'm not a disc golfer. Well, I played once last year. But they have like a warm up thing. Like you Sky, maybe you've heard of it. You hold on to this little chip or little half disc and then
flight
have a towel.
Yeah.
Those guys are from our area.
Where are you from again?
We're in Salem, Oregon. So we're out.
Okay. Yeah. That's exactly.
There's a lot of very popular disc golf stuff here. Yeah.
You're in straight hipster land, so
we don't have any disc golf clients.
You got several world champions living in your area. So
yeah. I know there's a famous course not too far from us, but So anyways, for a brief moment I worked and we did some flight dial early prototype stuff, and we were printing their logo on the corner of it. But that was our towel history.
There you go. Yeah, we do towels for everything. Microfiber, waffle, suede. Yeah.
How are you printing those? What's the process on the presser?
Just screen print them. I mean, just lay them on the board. I mean, we'll just throw.
You're just using a black water base or something?
We'll just thin out plastisol.
Okay.
So
I think that was always my biggest thing is I wanted to make sure it had a really good laydown and looked good. And it was just with the amount of fibers and stuff on the towel, I just never saw it looking really great. So I was like, I don't want to offer this. We had someone a little while ago that wanted beach towels or something, and they just wanted their logo in the middle of it. And we were thinking about it. And then the M&R press, our G3 has a towel mode where it prints back forward and forward and back.
Really get it down in between the fibers,
to get it down in there. And then I was just we did some samples and I didn't really love it. So I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. I mean, nothing against printing towels at all. I don't know. I just never got into it.
Leave that to the professionals of the towel.
Leave that to Miles. If you got towels, Miles Tshirts loves printing towels.
Yeah. Lots of lint everywhere too.
So was there anything else new other than just getting a bunch of new equipment?
Yeah. Lots of new equipment. I think just, obviously a new building. We bought the building in 2019. So we're constantly just doing little things. Obviously you're always doing little things to your building, but it's you can't go all in and do everything at once. It's just too expensive. So, recently we did a little upgrade to our designers little studio area. So that was super cool. Hopefully I'll get to do my office maybe this year, paint some walls. We really just got in here. Everything was white and just got to work. And, other than hanging some stuff on the walls, we haven't got to do a lot, but we keep making it our home.
Is it your building or are you leasing it?
Yep. We bought it.
Okay, great. Rodney, you're kind of dealing with some space issues right now, right? With a leaky hole.
Dude. Yeah. I don't know. So we have like a really good deal on our space, and it's a decent size. So it's like 2,500 square feet. We're a single auto shop. We have a manual. We have a few heat presses. We do get capped out on space sometimes. We had to have a shipping container like the last 4 months or so to house just stock of hoodies. Yeah. But it sucks just because we have such a good deal, but our building was not super great when we first moved in. I mean, we've dramatically improved it over the years. We've been here for about 3 years or so. Yeah, 3 years, like last month. So it's a lot better, but our roof is really old and the building owner needs to replace it. But that's going to be a big expense because it's not just there's our 2,500 square feet, but then there's like a 5,000 square foot shop behind us. And then like a 10,000 square foot shop to the side of us. That's all one roof. And so really it all needs to be replaced. And that's going to be a hefty bill. And that 10,000 square foot space has been vacant for like almost 2 years now. So I don't see him wanting to put the funds up for that. But yeah.
You think you guys will move and like upgrade at some point?
That's the idea. We like kind of one of my dream spots opened up this last year for sale. And I was like, dang, I want to buy that building. And it was for sale for like $1 million. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know if we can do that or not. I really don't know. I haven't bought commercial property before or anything. And so started talking to like a local bank, and we've been working on a bunch of stuff, but basically came to find out is like, you know, your financials are great, but they're not like they're great for you personally. They're not super great for you lendability wise. And so we've been kind of changing our bank system, and we've focused a lot this year on like, we brought in all remote, but a new CPA, a new bookkeeper, some financial guidance folks. So that way we can start kind of doing things and making our books and the business look more lendable and more, I don't know, profitable looking, I guess. So that in like 2 years time, when our lease is up, the hopeful potential of buying a space is a possibility. But for now, you know, we're here for at least another 2 years. Again, it's a really good deal. So it is hard because I know anywhere we go, we're going to like triple our cost on building space.
It's always scary. Yeah. I mean, I moved a lot, and I know it's like little by little steps, you know? So yeah, maybe going to buy the big building is not the right move, but you just want to get in and just be done with it.
Moving a screen shop would suck.
Dude. Yes. I've moved probably like 6 or 7 times, but that was all when we just had a few manuals and a small dryer. But now with like the auto and stuff, like, man, it's going to be an endeavor because like we had to put a door in to put our equipment in. Like we had a man door, and then our back like loading area there used to be a bay door, but somebody just like cut it and filled it in at some point and just did a single man door. We had to put in like a large 84-inch double door when we moved in just so our equipment could get in the building. But even that, dude, I mean, we're talking like the press like base came in like a 1/4 inch on each side of the door jambs, and it's concrete on the outside of that. So, getting all of our stuff out of here one day is going to really be a process.
I've never in my life heard someone call it a man door before.
A door in which a man can walk through. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, like even when we swapped presses, there wasn't enough room. So I actually had to camp out overnight with our old press outside. I slept like I have a little camper van. And so when we swapped presses a couple years ago, our old press had to go outside for the truck to come the next day to pick it up. But I wasn't just going to leave it. Like we're on a pretty busy road. I'm just going to leave it in our parking lot. And so I like got my camper van and like parked in front of it and had to camp outside to guard it overnight. Wow. But we're dealing with this leaky roof right now. We've had a slow leak. We've had roofers out here like probably 20 times. We just have these buckets. Luckily it's not in like a major area. It's just in this back corner and like a storage area. But we have like 2 5-gallon buckets. We have like film. It's like leaking down the wall.
That's the
so
worst,
we have like
though.
we have film taped to the wall, like literally like screen print film taped to the wall, and then like funneled into the bucket, so it like drips down and the film catches it, and then it goes into the bucket. And I mean, we were like emptying them like every couple months or something, but like we just came in one day recently and it had snowed and those 2 buckets were overflowing. It was literally water was like pouring down the wall, and so we had like probably 200 square feet in that room's carpet, and it was just completely soaked. And so we've been dealing with that for a few days now. Like, we thought the roofer came out and said he fixed it. We had it all under control. We got it all dried up. And then we came in the next day and the buckets were overflowing again. And so, yeah, it's been not.
Is that a roof leak or is that like a pipe leaking? Because that sounds like a lot. But I guess you guys got lots of snow too.
We get okay amount of snow, usually a couple times a year. But yeah, the first time was snow. The next time was just rain. And it's because it's basically where the roof, you know, the plane of the roof goes down to a point, and then there's like a gutter that takes all the water down. It's a leak at that gutter. So it's where all the water starts to puddle up. Yeah, it pools up right there. It doesn't. You
just got to get up there.
Drain properly.
You got to get up there with a Flex Seal and just hit it.
I might.
Mm-hmm. Done.
I might. Yeah.
I've seen those commercials. He just cuts a little square and fucking slaps it, and it's done and sealed and good to go.
Yeah, sealed. Yeah, we're just I don't know, we're at that spot too where it's like, if we have to renew our lease, like I don't know, like in 2 years, like I don't want to be that tenant that was like just a total pain in the ass. Like, I understand like it is the building owner's responsibility, but it goes through a property management company.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much of a pain in the ass do I want to be to that property management company when like lease renewal comes up? But at the same time, I don't want the roof to fall in either. So I don't. Yeah.
The joys of having a business and dealing with daily bullshit of stuff like that. Like, I have to deal with stupid stuff. It's always something. Like, you guys are dealing with like a leaky roof or whatever. Like, I deal with skunks. Like, we have skunks that live under this building like at least twice a year. And Bill was telling me a funny story yesterday, because I was in Florida, and every year I have to buy this stuff called skunk scram. It's basically like predator blood in pellet form.
Gnarly.
Yeah. So under the building, it's like 4-foot stilts, but it's like gross. Like, it's not. It is gross under there, but it's like dry dirt, but it's like pillars, and then the building is all on top of it. But under there is just like a fucking cave of destruction for like predators, other animals. There's like carcasses of all kinds of animals under there, because like woodchucks and like fox and like anything, they just fight under there. I don't know why. It's like murder dome down there. Anyway, like once or twice a year, skunks get in there and they're like, oh, cool place to live. And then they find a predator and then they spray. But this is like underneath our shop, like our offices or whatever. So when they spray, the whole shop reeks of like skunk spray. Like, it's intense.
Dude.
And it's a big
just
problem.
Think you guys are just smoking weed in there.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. It's a big problem because it's horrible and it smells terrible, but it will immediately soak into apparel.
Ooh.
So like
our
fulfillment room is like above that area, and it's like all the shirts in there now just smell like skunk. So it's like it's a big deal. So I have down there, I have like flashing strobe light thing that like supposed to scare them. I have the noise thing that's supposed to like irritate the hell out of them. And then we go down once a year with a skunk scram. Well, anyway, Bill called me and was like, hey, a skunk sprayed while you were gone. Do we have any more scram? And I was like, yeah, I haven't done it in like a year and a half. There's a fresh bottle of it in my office. So we went and got it. And the thing is, you have to like crawl under the building. It's like pitch black under there. So you're crawling down. There's cobwebs and shit everywhere. You're like hunched over. And he said he just went in there blindly, like no flashlight, like took the cap off, just started like shaking it around everywhere. And then he heard like scurrying footsteps, and he just threw the bottle and like ran out of there.
Yeah, that would be my reaction.
So that's what happens when you own a building, is you get these like weird ass like things you have to do on a daily basis that you're not necessarily prepared for that day.
Yeah, so, Miles, I was listening to your episode. I listened to it originally, but I was like, I should probably like do a quick catch up. And at that time you mentioned something about you're kind of like trying to like figure out what your role was. Like, you were like kind of changing lanes a little bit, and you're like, you had some daily responsibilities, but then I don't know, you were basically trying to identify what your role was.
I feel like I'm still trying to do that, because it's just, we're at that range where, and I hear this in a lot of industries, like when you get to a certain dollar amount, there's just different things that change. And, we've been on that line for a couple of years, and it's like, do I hire people to do those things, or I keep trying to do it myself? It's just a constant struggle. But yeah, I don't know what the right thing is to do. And, you obviously listen to podcasts and try to find other shops. Like, when is the right time? It's like the same with buying a building. Like, when's the right time? And, and then after you do it, you're like, oh, I should have done that so much sooner, like buying new equipment, it's like, oh, I wish I would have done that sooner. But, it all happens when it happens. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle. Last year my dad passed away, so I was taking care of him for about 6 months. So that was really the test of like, can the shop stay, sustainable without me, or with me kind of at a distance? I still was coming in as much as I could, but that was a struggle, and I'd like to not have to have that struggle again, so.
What did you learn from that though? Did you learn that it is okay without you, or did you learn that you have a lot more to do?
Yeah, I mean, printing wise, I think it was completely fine. Like those guys, getting orders out the door, no problems. Like it's really the intake of the orders and the trying to do some sales or marketing, or even just like paying bills. Cause like I'm the one that has to do that. So I get behind, or collections, just keeping people, paying us so that I can continue to pay. So I think those are the things that I struggle with. Is that a full-time job to hire someone? I don't know. HR, obviously. I was just talking to a guy yesterday who was telling me he pays a company to do his HR, and it wasn't that much. I'm like, okay, that might be something that I start to pay for. We have enough people that you just want to keep people happy and make sure they always feel comfortable to talk to somebody if they have a problem. When I'm not here to talk to, sometimes the messages.
Sometimes they also feel intimidated to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, even though you are the one to talk to, that's what I find. And not to get too into the weeds with it, is I find that when I talk to, like, I have managers in the departments, but like, if I was to grab somebody from that department and talk to them, I'm going to get a totally different story than the manager is going to get. Cause they'll come to me and be like, oh yeah, everything's great. And this and this and this. And then when they talk to the manager, they're like, what the fuck is this happening? Like what's going on? And that's the struggle, is it's always, they tell me a different story. I think cause they don't want to maybe upset me, which I understand, because, I write the paychecks and I whatever. And it's like, but the truth is I would rather hear what's really happening than to get a sugar coated story. Yeah. So I think the third party HR is like really good, just because it kind of takes them out of that. Like they feel more comfortable talking to said person.
Somebody that's not involved. Yeah. And I think the thing that we've done better is doing like quarterly meetings individually with every single person. And that really just kind of makes sure we clean the air. We go over like, is there anything you need? Is there anything that we can do better? Are you happy? And I think that's really helped a lot with just the overall happiness of people, and just making sure that we're not, messing up on stupid stuff. Like, somebody wanted a tape dispenser. Like, oh, the tape dispenser kind of sucks, for like heat press tape, like, what, you're right. We probably got that from like a shop that we bought out 10 years ago, and it's on its last leg. Let's just buy a new one. And like, okay, that was an easy fix.
Or it's something like that just like builds resentment every day. Cause there's like, fuck this tape dispenser. And or you just get pissed, and it's like, all you have to do is ask me for a new tape dispenser. Like,
right.
Yeah. Right. Dealt with that.
I love those. Yeah, we have a Slack channel for that, like repairs, so if there's anything wrong with the shop, post it in there. And that kind of holds me accountable of like, I can see how long it's been there and how long have we neglected it to get it fixed.
It's a good idea to have something like that. Yeah, I've had it too. Yeah. Like even the auto on the old Sportsman or whatever, and I pop out there to help on a job or something, and I'm like, oh, why is this screen here and what's going on here? They're like, oh, we just don't use head 7. I'm like, what do you mean you don't use head 7? And it's like, oh, well, this knob's broken and this doesn't even work or whatever. I'm like, why am I just now finding out that head 7 doesn't work? Like, if you would have told me then, I would have like made some calls or ordered some parts or like whatever. Right. And it's like, sometimes they just are in it, and they don't want to stop doing what they're doing, and then eventually it just turns into, we just don't use head 7.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. Well, back to your point, Miles, though, is that one thing I've discovered, especially because of the way my life has changed over the last 2 years, is the shop can run itself. Like the intake's good, the printing's good, everything's fine. The one thing I've noticed, like you said, just the administrative stuff of like paying bills or whatever I still have to do. But the reality is I can do that from a laptop anywhere. Like I can be anywhere in the world and pay the bills and do the maintenance. Is just the anything new, or like the new inspiration, or the reaching out for new clients necessarily, or the sales part of it. Like they can be autopilot here. Like, hey, someone calls, emails, they'll do the whole process out the door. But there's not a lot of like, hey, we're going to do this creative like thing or find out how to do something new or whatever. So I feel like I could leave for a month and I'd probably be fine. But I feel like I would have to come back or interject myself at some point to shake things up or try something new or add a new print technique or whatever. And that's the benefit of me being me, is that I love talking to all these other shops. So I'm constantly finding out new things or new ways of doing something. And then I go to Bill or whatever and I say, hey, I learned about this new technique. And then we implement it. And it's like, oh, cool. That like changed our shop dynamic. So like, I feel like if I wasn't doing that, it would just be autopilot and they would be, which is great. Like they're all doing their job and it's awesome. I'm just saying there's no real flux. So.
Yeah. And honestly, like the thing that I kind of pushed myself to do this year is just the shirt reviews, the daily shirt reviews. And it's a challenge. And I think, I've been doing it long enough, and you guys as well, like it's the same thing, but different every day, but there was nothing exciting. So yeah, giving yourself something that's exciting that holds you accountable. And, obviously like your peers are watching what you're doing too. So get them excited. I mean, there's so many channels and people that put stuff out there that have helped me, get past the problem or whatever. So it's like, I love the idea of giving back and doing something cool and different and, sharing. But yeah, it's a challenge, like with traveling, or if I'm going to be gone, it's like, okay, I got to plan a little better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I kind of brought up, like, I was curious, like what your current role was. And because mine's been changing so much over the last 2 years. Like I was very much in production and R&D, making sure like that stuff was running smoothly, which, now it is. And then I think it's just important to know, or, especially for people that are like growing, to know, like, if you're a shop owner, like you're not just going to be screen printing every day. As much as I love printing, because then all of a sudden my role changed, and then I was like our production artist mostly, and I would help with some sales stuff, and they were able to intake everything fine, and they'd ask some questions, or a big quote would come in like, hey, like, need your help, but it's mostly just doing production art. And then we've started to outsource that. We brought in Graphic Source, and so now that's running by itself. But we have new equipment coming in. We're already more lean and more efficient, but we have like our CTS coming in, and we have a coder coming in, and all these other things that we're doing to improve efficiency. And then now all of a sudden we're running out of work, in the sense that we're going faster. And with that new equipment that's coming in, I know we're going to be even more quick. And so now my role, like Elisa and I were talking the other day, and I think it's time that I have to like step back into like sales. Like, I started this company. I got all of our, our current clientele, for the most part, besides this, the last few years has been, a lot of like inbound stuff. And it's good work, and we have jobs, but, we're getting quicker and faster. And Elise is kind of focusing more on like long-term marketing, customer experience. What can we do to upsell customers and things like that? But
she does fight fantastic at that, by the way. Like,
well, yeah, she's killer.
I'm just saying, from an outsider watching your guys' content, like, she does an amazing job at that. More so than most shops. I mean, Miles is doing a pretty bang up job right now with the whole shirt thing, but I'm just saying, like, she gets on there and does some creative stuff that I have. But
do you get any like kickback where people are like, oh, you guys just spend all your time making videos? Like, are you guys actually working
Sometimes
some of your videos are
I
really
do get
good
that.
and well thought out. So, I mean, I feel like they have to take some time. And obviously I think of that as a business owner. I'm like, man, how long did that take them? But, you know, now that I'm doing it every day, it's like, yeah, it doesn't really take that much time if you're focused, you know, but
it's also it's your own creative outlet. Like if you had staff doing that and you were paying them to do that, that's different. But for an owner to do that, I feel like you're more invested and you're like, it's your creative project that's also adding to the business value.
Yeah, there's like a few different ways we like handle it. And, you know, sometimes it's like, do we come in on the weekends and do it? Like we're not actually open. Or sometimes it's like ideas that we have are like 2 years old. Like we have a list of stuff. We're like, yeah, we can finally get around to that idea that we had 2 years ago because we have some time at the moment to do it. So, but yeah, I mean, like we have like local clientele and like that follow us on Instagram and stuff. And I get the comments sometimes where like, it looks like you guys just have so much fun. And like, I would love to work there. And I'm like, hey, I know it looks that way. That's the point. But I tell you right now, it is so stressful and I work constantly.
When the camera goes off and you peel that mustache off, you're just a giant dick. The dynamic changes completely. Lights go off.
Scrub the floors with a toothbrush. Yeah, but no, like, and so like right now, what I was kind of like referencing is just like, I think I have to like, you know, we've been doing some outbound stuff and Elise is handling that, like the longer term stuff, you know, because I feel like the Instagram stuff is never just like, hey, do you want me to make you some t-shirts? Like you have to like form relationships and embed yourself in the community. So she's handling that, but it's like, I have to like I'm just going to start going back out and doing the cold call type stuff. And I think that's where my role is going to transition to for the next foreseeable future. Cause I want to be able to fill in that dead space. And I'm trying, we had some big contract stuff where we've been really busy with the last couple of years and it kind of like ground us down to the bone. And I don't think we want to do that anymore, really. So we want to get out of that as much as we can. I still love, you know, we have easy relationships, but the like fighting for our lives for 3 weeks to do, you know, 10,000 pieces or something like, I just don't have interest in it anymore. So I would much rather do 100-piece orders. All day long. I mean, more changeovers. So
see the people. That's what my dad always said. He was traveling sales back in the day. I would go with him in the summers, and you know, now that everything is an email or a phone call, but like literally that's what I'm still doing. And that's why the disc golf thing has done well for me. Cause I go to these events, I drive all over the country and I'm seeing these people and we have dinner. Those things matter, you know, and they trust me and they know that I'm reliable. And if I have to drive it to the event because they had poor planning, I'm going to get it there, you know, and potentially still save them money somehow. But yeah,
I can attest to that. You drove to see me on your way to a disc golf thing. And we're not close by.
Yeah. You were like a good stopping point. I actually thought about stopping there on the last trip out there. But you were in Long Beach. I was driving to an expo out there and so that's why I didn't get to go to Long Beach, but yeah, I'll be out there again later this year. So if you're around, maybe I'll stop by.
I'll be around. To your point, Rodney, though, like I've realized that recently, and I kind of had to take not necessarily a blow, but just like realize that I was wrong. And I was told by different people in the industry too, like, because what I really wanted to do for forever, and because I was originally the sales guy, kind of like what you're saying, like you started your company, you did your own sales, you did whatever it took to grow to a point where you felt, okay, I can step into this other role and the sales are just coming in word of mouth, whatever. Well, anyway, I'm at that year, kind of like Miles was saying, at certain points you get to where you have to reevaluate or change things or whatever. I'm literally like 3 weeks ago had to decide that like I want to be a sales guy again. Like, because that's how I got into this whole industry in general, is I was always an office sales guy. That was my thing. But for the last 10 years or something, I've been just more like the boss and doing things here and there and delegating and growing to the point where I can walk away and do whatever I want to do. But in reality, I don't know, just before COVID or right around COVID time, I had hired like Kevin Set Sales to, you know, teach my crew how to do sales, because I wanted the updated version, and maybe in the same thing, like Miles was saying, like I can give them my 2 cents and how I do things, but I feel like my own team looks at me like, you're not doing this correctly. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But the truth is when I hire Kevin, that he says the same thing I say, and they're like, oh, interesting. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you should definitely do that. So anyway, we did that whole thing, and Kevin even told me, he's like, dude, I think what you need is you need a dedicated sales or outbound person, and then you need intake, like order takers and customer service people. And I was like, yeah, like I agree, but I think my people have free time. Like when we're slow and we'll, you know, whatever, they can put 2 hours a day to just doing outbound. Well, what I found is that's not the case. Like, it's hard to get them motivated to do it. There's not a lot of things to get them incentivized to do it. And I'm just realizing now that let them just be really good intake. Let them be really good order takers, good customer service, spend time on our current customers that we have, like build those relationships, whatever. I need to actually have people that are just doing the outreach and the getting a warm lead and then handing it off to them kind of thing. So, and I like doing it. Like I genuinely like doing it. It's just the downfall of it is I'm inserting myself back into the business to where it would be harder for me to leave for a month or whatever. Like I don't ever really leave for a month. I'm just saying that like I was at the point where I'm like, oh, cool. I'm a successful business guy. I can like not be at work, but I don't even really care. Like I like being at work, but I am like where you're at right now, where I'm kind of like, I'm just diving back into doing sales and like reaching out and whatever. But I think my thing is I don't want to hire someone here. I want to get me and maybe a VA, like one or two that are just doing the outbound and having
absolutely.
System.
The VAs, man, that just scares me. I know everybody uses them, but man, I'm still scared. Maybe I agree. I agree.
No, I'm fully with you, and I'm dipping my toes in. But the thing is, the one VA I'm using now is someone I know and trust.
Okay.
And they're just, again, it's basically a freelancer who is going to do what it is you need them to do in your 8-hour day. So I don't have an employee. I'm not paying the insurance on whatever. I'm just paying them and 1099, whatever, the whole thing. So I would like to maybe see how it goes with him. And then if it is really successful and we get down all the systems and processes to where it's just kind of like plug and play, then maybe I'll reach out to another VA and go from there. But yeah, it scares me. I don't really love the idea of not having the control, but in reality, that's what this business is. Like, how many times have all three of us been like, oh, I'm too scared to buy a bigger building or to hire a assistant that can handle my inbox. Like, and then you do it and you're like, oh my God, why did I not do that 10 years ago? So I feel like it's the same thing with the VAs. We're like scared because it's the unknown.
Yeah.
But then when
I think it's easy to do. It's like I'm sure you go to shops and you can see what these shops need to do. You know, one of my sales guys like, oh yeah, you're going to have new equipment. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then 2 years later, I got new equipment. But yeah, there's a shop locally. I was like, you guys need to buy a bigger building. They bought a building. I was like, it's too small. And I was like, you need to buy another embroidery machine. They were like, oh no, we don't. I bought another one. Like I've been telling them to do this stuff and then they do it. I'm like, see, why didn't you just do that like a year ago? But yeah, it's easier to say it than to do it sometimes. You know?
They have to. I feel like it's the same thing with like your children. You're like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, and then they just have to experience it for themselves. Like they have to get to the point of breaking where they're like, I have to hire this VA or I have to buy this piece of equipment, and then they do it. And it's like Rodney was saying, like, it's weird. Like I smile when he's like, oh, I'm getting a coder and a CTS or whatever. I feel like those two pieces of equipment together is almost like in the equivalent of like your friend having a baby and you're like, I'm so happy for you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you're finally getting this thing that's going to change your life. Really. Like the coder dude and the CTS, it's like, that's the one combo in your shop. I feel like that literally changes the dynamic of everything. Like,
oh my gosh, getting rid of film is just like the best thing.
Yeah. But even the coder, like being like consistent coats, everything.
What CTS are you getting?
A Doubt It.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I really went into like analysis paralysis for the last like year and a half on this whole thing. We were just doing 13 by 19 film sheets. That was pretty manageable, but the printers suck. And then about a year ago or so, we upgraded to, 24-inch roll, like the new Epson 3770 or whatever it is, which is a great printer. But I mean, just immediately, like we're hit with challenges. Like, oh, cool, we can print really big now and not have to like tape films together. But, then we were dealing with like stretching. And for some reason, one screen in a 7-color set like is off by 1/8 of an inch. And we don't know it until we get it all impressed. We're fighting with reg. And it's like, what all this stuff that we were dealing with. And then all of a sudden it's not easy to store your film anymore because they're giant films. And so,
and you have carpeted rooms that are saturated with water, and then all your films get gross because they're
that's where our films are at actually.
Yeah. Those are all destroyed, by the way.
Oh yeah, probably. So yeah, anyway, but it was just hard because it's like I could go used, I could get, a used iMage for fairly cheap, but then, I had to refurb it. And I've made some really cool connections over the last year and some friends that like, I was pretty confident in doing something like that for a while, but then still like, then I was looking at Exile and Doubt It. And then
you got into some text threads and some Discord groups that are like, hey, you fucker, do this instead.
Right. And then everyone too, like, and everyone has an opinion. Like I knew like ultimately, like whatever I decided was going to be an improvement. But it was the one thing I just decided. I was like, I'm not going to buy used. We almost bought a used laser. So I was like, that'd be cool. We'll just jump from film to laser and probably be the first shop to do that. And, but then again, like the price was good, but I was like, this is like a laser that's been really used for like the last 5 years. And I was like, I don't know if I want to take that on. And so, cause it's a big step, everything's way more expensive, the rip's expensive, like, getting it here is expensive. Like if there's an issue and we're down, like we're still a one auto shop. Like if we're down because our output doesn't work, like, dude, we're in a tight spot. Like trying, like not running a press for a day, like really sucks.
Never get rid of that film printer.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what, like screw it. Like I'm buying new, buying Doubt It. Like some people love Doubt It. Some were like, oh, get Exile, like whatever. Like that's just where I landed. I was like, that's where I felt most comfortable.
It's a great machine. Like there's,
and so
you're going to love it. It's going to be night and day difference.
I'm beyond stoked on it. And yeah, I mean, I've already like talked to people about, hey, you could buy this film printer, but I think I'm going to hold on to it for a while.
I'm telling you right now.
The problem is if you don't use it every day, like it's not going to stay printing well.
Dude, we have our original Epson. I think it's like a 4800 that we've had for fucking over 10 years. And we had to use it like 6 months ago and it worked. Like if you flush the system with like the cleaning fluid, I can't even remember what we used. Like they sell a cleaning fluid, but I think you can use like, alcohol or Windex or something.
Yeah.
Like flush the system. And we literally just put black ink in it and hit print and it printed films like totally fine.
Wow. Yeah. We would like have a long break and come back and just be doing nozzle checks and all sorts of stuff trying to get it. But yeah, ours is still like pretty new. And so, it's not like a converted system.
I would flush it and keep it.
And so, it's not converted. So like, I don't know, like I just want to, it has like all its stock ink in it. And so I think for now, I just want to kind of play around with like poster printing, like digital, just like large images and just like play around with it. Like we have a bunch of art on the walls and we like do photo shoots and stuff and we'll print out big photos of us and we'll have to go to like, a local printer to do that. And I was like, I mean, this is what this machine is for. I was like, we want to use it every day, but I was like, we could at least try to like play around with doing something like that. But then it would still be a backup if we needed. And go from there. But then I'm just trying to like figure out like, then I have to like, what do we do with our exposure unit and all that fun stuff? Like, do we keep the glass somewhere or do we hide it and then get a vertical unit? And
I had a, what is it? The Starlight. Right? The M&R, is it Starlight?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then I sold that, and then I sold it to somebody who to Branded Threads, and he was like, I told him I was like in the market for some like cheap, crappy, not necessarily crappy, but like exposure unit that I could keep here as a spare, because like, again, that's what I wanted. I wanted the film printer and a spare exposure unit. And he had this like workhorse LED one or whatever. And I was like, all right, perfect. He was like, no, I'll even give it to you, because he was buying the Starlight. And he was like, I'll give it to you. I was like, cool. I got it here. I put casters on it and put it up on its side because it's LED. And it's literally just rolled up against the side of the laser. So right now, if anything ever happened with the laser or with anything, I can print film and I can expose it on an LED unit. You definitely should have a backup of some kind for making screens.
Yeah. And we also, I mean, we have like all three, like we have manual 2331, 2536. I bought just the drums for 2331 and 2536. Like, I don't need to buy a 2024 drum. Like, I don't care. But because we don't have that many manual screens. But then I was like thinking about it. We do actually do an okay amount of output for like just some local people. Like, hey, can you burn some screens for us? And I was like, oh crap. Like, I kind of like need to be able to help them still. So we'll still use like the film output. And so that's where I got to kind of figure out how we're going to, either like keep the glass easily accessible, or if I'm just going to get 2 exposure units or whatever. But yeah, you say Branded Threads. So Sam,
yeah.
Yeah. He just got an outfit also.
Yeah. So Miles, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today was that the whole, like you were saying, like you were doing all this shirt stuff and you were going about talking about all these different brands. Why was that what you wanted to dive into? Not necessarily like print methods or, stuff that your shop can do or whatever. You're just like, hey, I want to dive into like all these different shirt styles and show off like what's available.
I mean, I think, you and I talked about it. We all get that urge of like, oh, I need to do more social. And then you try to start doing it and then you kind of run out of ideas. So I needed something that was like easy, that was interesting, and that kind of had an infinite number. Right. And I like to challenge myself. Brandon, that's helping me, he obviously likes a good challenge as well. So January 1st, obviously we were closed. I came to the shop. I did the video by myself, and then I posted it. And Brandon, like, I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it. I don't want to be one of those people like, oh, I'm going to go do this and it's going to be huge. No, like, I just wanted to do it. And like, I didn't really want to tell people that I was putting it on YouTube until I got like, I just did 50 videos as of yesterday.
Damn.
So like, yeah, we're 50 days into the year, right? So like, it's also a good way to kind of keep track of your time. Every day you're like, okay, same with you and your episodes. Like you can see like how far you've come, and just looking at the first video to now, we've obviously gotten a lot better. I knew nothing about it. I always think about what would I do if I wasn't doing this? Like, what other jobs can I go get? So this is kind of a way to try out a new job, but still do the same job. Yeah. So it's kind of fun, but also it's like, why do we order the shirts that we order? Because we have a good price on them, or because it's just the ones that we like. I mean, I've had so many customers reach out like, oh, that shirt sounded really cool. Like, I've never heard of that before. It's like, yeah, me neither. Like, I've never worn that shirt, or there's some like, oh, wow, this is why I've never worn this shirt, because it's terrible. But yeah, like, I want to become like an expert in this, starting from the bottom, and I think I'm going to really be stretching a little bit towards the end of the year of like what shirts I can find. So anybody watching, if you have like some really weird random brands that I should check out, please let me know, because there's so many out there. I literally just saw one the other day, and some of the videos from Long Beach that the tours and stuff, I watched a bunch of those and people naming off brands that I had never heard of. I was like, okay, I got to go find their shirts, order some, whatever. Also, I think it's nice that I'm doing this on my own. No companies are giving me anything. Yeah. So it's like really my opinion, so that's kind of fun too.
But the bonus of that is that once you do enough of them and you start getting recognized for reviewing these things, people will start sending you things. And it is cool. Like, yeah, never change, like never like have them sponsor or something, because then you're going to be biased. But like, it would be cool to get things and to be able to review them honestly of like, well, X Joe shirt brand sent me this shirt and it is comparable to the, the 1717, or the sleeve length is good on this, or if you really like this style, this one might be good for you too, but it's like 2 inches longer for those people with like long torsos or whatever. Like it's cool to do that. And it's nice because it's an honest opinion. It's not like you're motivated by anything other than educating your customer.
Yeah. Well, and I know like the first couple of videos where I maybe gave not necessarily like a bad review, but I didn't like the shirt, and Brandon's like, I really like it when you don't like the shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, there's a place for almost all these shirts. You know, there's different customers, there's different price points, there's different colors, sizes. I mean, there's so many variables. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. They just, I want some shirts. And like, okay, you start asking questions. Are you selling this or are you giving this away? And they're like, what does that matter? I'm like, well, you know, and then the next question is, okay, do you want people to wear this shirt more than once? I'm like, what does that matter? Well, you know, how much do you want to spend? You know, so you start asking these questions and it helps narrow things down. But I really hope that I will broaden my horizons on what I purchase. Obviously, you know, it's got to be easy though, right? Like we don't want it. It's like some of these companies make it really hard to give them money, you know, whether the way they order or the way that they ship or whatever it is. So hopefully that pushes some companies to do better. And then the main focus with some of these videos that we're going to do in the future, like more in depth, focus on like measurements and hopefully like pushing the industry as a whole to do like more consistent measurements. Like everybody do the same type of measurements. You know, some companies will just show a chest. Some companies will, you know, maybe show the whole wraparound of the shirt versus just across the front. So it's like, not everybody knows how to read those size charts. We sell a ton online with online stores and we get, you know, we don't get a ton of returns, but we typically are trying to make sure a size chart's there and answer questions and use shirts that, you know, typically are good. We had an incident recently where we had some cropped hoodies. It was for like a girls gymnastic thing. And we had a bunch of them get returned because it didn't say cropped in the description. And the parents were like, they can't wear these to school.
Right.
So
like their belly button shows or something.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
so, you know, one hoodie did say cropped. So that one was okay. But there was one that was like a shorter hoodie that we kind of didn't even really realize, but, you know, we replaced them. It wasn't a big deal, but, you know, having people wearing the shirts in the images on the online stores, we've noticed really helps versus just a flat shirt. It really helps sales. So, I mean, some companies are killing it and other companies are just, they don't care, you know, so I'm hoping I get more of them to care.
Two things on that, and I don't want to skip over this one because it's my favorite part, is in your videos, you're up close, like chest up, talking about the shirt or whatever. My favorite part of the video is when it pans back and it's you wearing the shirt and you're like, this is me wearing this shirt. Like you need to fucking every video change what you're wearing from the waist down. Like you need to either have like fun shorts on or like just something like you're standing,
no shorts and it's
right? No
out.
shorts. You're tucked, like you like standing in a kiddie pool. Like it needs to be something like this whole time you're having a regular conversation from waist up and it's serious and about the shirt. And then as soon as it pans out, there's like 10 dogs or like, you know, there's just something happening in the room. Like that's my favorite part of the video. Like is you're just like, this is me wearing this shirt. And it's like, it's just the thing. It's the hook at the end to be like, what's he going to be doing? Or what's he wearing or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously we've done some funny ones and we have some funny ones coming up, but, it's a fine line of trying to keep it serious as well as like still have it fun and entertaining, you know? I love that idea. Well, whenever I do it, I'll call you out.
Okay, cool.
I'll be like,
the second part is, and I've tried to push this like on this show and also like I was on the Gildan board and my biggest thing as a printer, because that's what like when Gildan does the board of decorators is they bring in all these printers and what they want is they want you to give feedback from a decorator's perspective because they're in it all day long of just like producing shirts, what sells the most, you know, what's trendy, whatever, but they don't hear what actually isn't being said when it goes from us as a decorator to the customer or challenges that we have decorating these items. So we go in and we talk to them and we're like, hey, this is the issues we're having and so on. And my biggest push with them, and I also pushed when we had the SNS CEO on, is it's not that difficult to, in my opinion, I mean, they're probably like, this is a huge pain in the ass, but like to do like specs on printability of that garment. You know what I mean? Like, say it's a huge shirt that's super common. So I keep saying the 1717 because it's my holy grail of shirts. But anyway, like if you go to that shirt, it'd be like, okay, here's a chart of all the colors we offer. This is the dischargeability of each one of these items. Like this is what it looks like with with a natural discharge on it. So you could see like, okay, the royal blue is like a light blue color, like it doesn't discharge well, but this other one discharges super well. And it's like the 3001 CVC. Like I didn't know that CVC would discharge super well, but it does. And it's like I wouldn't have known that until I got it here and tested it and then found out, oh, it either works or it doesn't. So it's like that alone, plus like, hey, like it holds I don't know, like it works really well with puff because it's got enough weight to it where it's not going to collapse on itself, or all these different details that they find out with testing. Yeah. And you could just open it up to almost like a forum on your website of like trusted printers that can do these tests for you, like in their day to day. And they're like,
needs to be tests. Like, so we have this spreadsheet of all the shirts, right? And I've been thinking about a very similar idea of like, how do we have those lists? Because I was going to say, if we ever have a problem with a shirt, like make a note, like, hey, if we ever order, this certain tri-blend, let's try not to print more than 3 colors on it because it's probably going to scorch or whatever it is. It's probably not going to turn out great. So like little things like that can just save us time so we can focus on other things. But yeah, man, show me how to do that or tell me where to do that. And I will start doing that because I think that would be great. Like we will have the list of all the shirts and just have like comments and feedback of like what people did and pictures and stuff.
And I think it's just one of those things that our industry lacks so much when you go to other industries and you see what they're doing. It's just, I know there's a lot of people doing education and like you're doing technically education with these blanks and stuff, but it's like, why are we not doing that so much more with all these other things, like even inks or whatever it's like, and John McGee does a great job of this with the ink stuff as he has all these videos of like, this is how this works and whatever. And that's what our industry needs more of, but it needs a centralized location of being like, this is where you can go to get this knowledge, because I love John, but like, if you don't know John, you would never find that information. And it's like, I know he works for Avient and they're kind of whatever, but this page is his own page and it's his own education and whatever. And that's kind of what I personally want to do with Shirt Show going forward. Is we're in talks now of making like a website, updating our website to where it has more like educational topics or forums or something where it's like, this is just all the information that I've personally gathered. You know what I mean? From talking to guests or like even just a page that's all the shop hacks we've ever heard. And like, it's the shop hack, it's a link to where to purchase the thing. It's all these things and that was the whole thing with the Discord is it's like, we just want to have as much knowledge on centrally located things as possible. So again, like, I don't know if there's a way for you to do this, Miles, with your thing, but like with certain shirts, maybe it's like notes of, you wearing it and how it fits, but you could be like, hey, this shirt fits awesome, looks really good, but after the first wash, like it's a belly shirt, or we went to go print it and then it scorched. Like, okay, cool, this shirt fit awesome, but I printed white on it and then it came out and there was a giant rectangle or this shirt. I mean, you guys know this with certain shirts, like you have way more pressure marks on the shirt from the press than others.
100%.
So it's the shirt might be cool, but it doesn't print worth a damn. So like, what good is it going to do us unless the customer's buying blanks?
Yeah, I wanted to say something like regarding Miles' content. And the one thing I like about your content is it goes both ways. Like it applies to print shops, which is great, but it also applies to your clients, which is really what social media, in our world should be used for. Like it's fun to make print shop related content. We love doing it, but from a sales
doesn't move the needle.
But what Dylan, exactly. So the content, it does apply to both. That's great. And especially because like, it's really easy to get stuck in like, this is the only shirts we use. Like, right. Like where Elisa coming into our shop, like she's really broadened like our spectrum of what we use, but your reviews also definitely apply to the customer, but adding like what Dylan's saying, like that printability stuff also super like, is client related, not as, as much as it is, print shop related, because, when people are like exploring your page and they're looking and, you say like, oh, like this is, good to print for, athletic events because we can make it really light and breathable, or whatever. Right. But, I just think that that's a really cool idea. Like I know Made Lab, I don't know exactly what they do, but I know like Ryan and them at Made Lab do like different discharge testing on,
they do testing for places like Sandmar and yeah.
But like what you're saying, because like the printability is huge, and like, you know, we've been getting more into puff, you know, over the last year or so, and it's like, but not every garment puffs the same.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And so you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot when you're like, you know, a client's like, hey, I want to do this whatever garment and I want to do puff, and we're like, yeah, no problem, we can do puff. And then you get it and you're like, oh crap, like it doesn't work. And so
and
like,
then how much money do you lose ordering those blanks, getting them in, and then test, and then you say you print 25 of them and you're like, why is this happening? Some look good, some don't. And then you waste 30 shirts and the money and the time of the customer. Like, not to cut you off, but like, I think companies like SNS and whatever are amazing. But one thing, if one of these distros really hammered down on the education and helping printers pick the right garments, it'd be a no brainer. It'd be like, I wouldn't care about saving 5 cents at somebody else. I would rather go to you because you give me everything I need to be successful.
Yeah. Like but I was also, you were like talking about like press marks. Like, do we love AS Color? Like, we do a lot of AS Color stuff, but they press mark harder for us than other brands compared to like a Next Level or Bella. So like, we have to know, like, depending on the client, like we're misting those shirts. Like we either spend more time trying to like get the press marks to not show as much, or we're misting those shirts before they go down the dryer. So in turn, there's more work involved, or just things to know, because, you know, I see that question on Facebook all the time. Like, what are these marks from? You know, like people that are like just getting into it. And it's like, man, if I would have known that from the beginning, to like cautionary tale of like, hey, careful. Or like another one that like we've learned the hard way before, just recently it happened to us, is like silky, like material shirts, like some of the Bella tanks and stuff like that. Like they don't hold, if you were going to do like, you know, regular water-based glue, or like they don't hold.
They don't stick to the pallet. Yeah.
If they have like
so rayon or something.
If you're using some type of, you know, web, and we just ran into this. There's this brand called True Classics that's direct only. They're like, I see them on Instagram a lot, and we had a client that loves them. But we did like an 8-color sim process print on it. We're like, yeah, no problem. And they were going to supply the blanks, but we're like, we can get a wholesale account. Let's do it, whatever. We ordered in, it was like 120 pieces. And we got it all regged, test printed. We were using like a Gildan or a Next Level to do the test prints on, got it all dialed. We threw the first one on and let it rip, and it
stuck
immediately
to the bottom of the screen.
The white base immediately it didn't have to stick at all. Mm-hmm. And we're like, dude, like, how are we going to print an 8-color job on these? And so we ended up having to use we had to clean our hoodie pallets off. We had to use web glue and like mat it down. And even then they were challenging. And so it's like,
even then when you spray,
why do you sell blank apparel?
We've had to do this too, where it's like you end up going to the extreme of web gluing the pallet to put the t-shirt on. Not only does that suck to do, but now you've got a web glue all on the inside of that shirt, and it's like, it's a nightmare. But how you could have escaped all of this if this information would have been on the fucking garment?
100%, dude. 100%.
Well, and these
Why is
companies
this
are
not a
making
thing?
this stuff. These companies are making this stuff not because they want to have good shirts for printers. They just want to make stuff. We have a customer doing the same thing. They're bringing in garments, and I'm like, we're testing this. We're washing it. We're doing everything. We're stopping. Like, luckily we have the time to do it, but a lot of shops, especially I have to look back when I was young, I would get in that situation all the time. Oh yeah, I can do that. And next thing you know, I'm up till 4 a.m. and killing myself trying to get it done because I don't want to look like an idiot. But I also, you know, got to figure it out. And, you know, when I started, I didn't have YouTube or the internet. So a lot of stuff was definitely learned the hard way. And now it's nice. You know, the other day we had a situation, the guy was like, oh, this isn't working. I'm like, have you YouTubed it? Like, no. And so I pulled up a video. We watched about 5 minutes. We figured out what we were doing wrong, got it fixed, had the shirts done, you know, and it was just, there was one little thing that we were missing. And yeah, I mean, it's so nice to have that accessible now.
But I think that goes back to, Miles, to what you were saying is, why are there thousands of shirt brands, but we only picked like 6? Like, why do we only use the same?
Exactly.
And the reason is because all of us decorators find these 5 or 6 that print really well.
Yep.
Like it goes on press, it does what we want it to do, and it gets out of here. And that's why we're scared to try this like random new brand that shows up, because it's like,
right.
I don't know right now. It's busy in the summer. I don't have time to do 100 wash tests. I don't have time to find out if the customer is going to get it and then it's going to off gas and it's going to change the color of all the ink. We stick to those 6 because it's our tried and true and we know what it is. But if this new brand came along and was like, hey, here's these super detailed specs on sizing, here's the printability with all these different print methods, here's this and this, I'd be way more apt to try that garment with all this information than if there was none at all and I had to do all the testing myself.
Yeah, we got burned recently because I like the new style of them, but the SS 4500s from Independent changed manufacturing facilities, and they're like a little bit more like kind of fluffy and soft or whatever. But the first batch we did, like it's like probably our go-to hoodie most of the time. We have a big contract client that uses them. We ran like a 200 piece order for them, and dude, like half of them dye migrated. And it's like we didn't check to think like, wow, these are different. You know, it's a different blend. It's a different like sewing, process. Like we just ran them the same way we've been running them and never had an issue before. And then all of a sudden we're experiencing these, like, it wasn't like terrible. We did have another client where we had like really bad dye migration, but these other ones, like it wasn't terrible, but the white was definitely not white. It was like dingy.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we're like, dude, like, yeah. So,
well, the other part of that too is I know they don't want to necessarily disclose this information, but like one of the main reasons why, and I don't know if this is still the same, it was a couple of years ago, where we will choose Bella over Next Level all day long because Bella straight up says like, we will never over dye our garments, and Next Level will do so. So we were having for years issues with Next Level or something when we would go to do a discharge print or water-based print where, oh, cool, well, this shirt actually used to be purple and they ran out of stock of black and they just dyed it black. And then now all my discharge prints are like weirdly purple colored. And you're like, or you print a whole job of 100 shirts and all the mediums look like shit, but all the rest are good. It's because those mediums were out of another batch that were over dyed or something. And it's like, this is what I mean, is it's so much headaches for us when we could just have this information like said to us. And that was the reason why we picked Bella over I'm not trying to bash Next Level, but I'm just saying like that was the reason why we picked one over the other.
Right.
But also like once you get burned though, like do you go back? It's like, no, like you're like, no, F off, right?
You lost the trust.
You got burned. But for all you know, like if you're not actively doing the research, like, or looking, it's like maybe now they discharge fantastic. But if there was a resource where you're like, hey guys, like Next Level changed their tune and now they're really good for this. And you're like, oh shit, I didn't know that because they burned me years ago and told them to F off.
One of the things that we're doing with all these shirts too is, they have the measurements or the measurements that they have. So in our spreadsheet, we're keeping track of what is the measurement that they give us. And then what is the actual measurement of the shirt that we're getting? Is it within their tolerances? Some companies do show a tolerance. Some say half an inch, some say an inch, which that's huge. Like an inch is huge, like on the length of a shirt or the width of a shirt.
You said it, man.
Yes. So I actually can't wait for you to visit sometime because I'm going to have all these shirts in 2XL. I know you were 2XL too. So you'll get to see every single one. Yeah. But then it's going to go beyond that. But yeah, so we're seeing what it looks like, what they say it's supposed to be size wise, what size it actually is. And then we're going to wash everything in kind of batches and then see what the shrinkage was, and a lot of these companies do say, oh, they're pre-shrunk. Well, what does that really mean? That typically just means they've washed the fabric at some point in the process. So yeah, a lot of people are like, I want something pre-shrunk. And that's the thing we deal with customers all the time. I want a shirt that doesn't shrink. It's like, well, I don't know how you do your laundry, here's a polyester shirt. This will not shrink. Go for it,
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting definitely a little more in depth and nerdy about it. We got a microscope so we can actually like show people what these shirts look like up close. So seeing what 16 singles looks like from 24 to 30 or 32. So not only like you hear what it is, but you see why it is smoother and why it feels better. Carded cotton, comb cotton, ring spun, the difference between all those. So definitely want to get more in depth, but really the idea was just to get rolling and doing it. Cause I know so many people start things and then they don't finish it. And I didn't want to be one of those people.
Well, hey,
So
I want to say, I want to say I'm
you know?
proud of you so far, dude. 50 is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. 50 and 50 days.
And you got so many more to go, and you got so many more ideas that we just went through that you got a big task ahead of you.
I know it's a good challenge. It's something to look forward to. And yeah, it keeps me out of trouble. Right.
Yeah. And also before we get to the last part, I want to talk about this partnership you're kind of doing with DJI, and we were getting involved a little bit because this episode will be out Monday, and I want to get as many people signed up as possible. So can you describe what the Merch Madness?
Yeah. So obviously I'm doing all these videos and I was like, how can I get people to interact with them a little bit more? My wife loves March Madness. We fill out a bracket every year. Well, when I say we, she knows all the teams. She's like doing her research and she's so excited about it. I kind of wanted something to be excited about. So I was like, why don't I just make a t-shirt bracket? But I was like, how do I see these shirts? Because if I just pick shirts that I like, that's not really fair. So I reached out to DJI because I knew they had a really good broad view of a lot of different brands versus if I just went to a distributor or something. And they picked out the top 32. We seeded those. I hope in the future we do a lot more. But basically we have a free bracket you can go fill out. You get points depending on, what shirts win and what goes to the end. Whoever gets the winning bracket or the best bracket will win $500. I know it's not a lot this year, but let's just prove the concept. And then maybe the industry can get behind it, in the future. We'll do some one-on-one, talk ups of shirts, the one that I'm really looking forward to see who wins is Los Angeles Apparel versus American Apparel. Mm-hmm. It's in the first round. It's like, who are people going to pick? I mean, this is really going to be just people's choice.
I feel like that one is like a who likes Dove and who doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't even know who he is.
Right.
We were talking about that the other day, and somebody, I don't remember what website it was. We were like, oh, this looks like American Apparel made this website because it was just like a bunch of half naked women and
Elisa just went on there recently, and she's like, I was like, that's how American Apparel's website used to be.
Right.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. So I'm really curious to see what people pick. The fun thing that I've noticed is people are making really funny names for their bracket. So I think I may have to do some sort of prize for the best.
I did not name my bracket. Mine was just fucking empty. I left it blank. I have to say though, dude, I was seriously super impressed because we had talked about this 2 weeks ago or something about. I think I reached out to you. Yeah. And I got the email from you, and then I got the email from DJI about the bracket and whatever, and just the style of looking at the graphic that they had. I was like, oh, this is rad. This is really good. I was thinking I was going to have to print this off and maybe scan it or take a picture and send it to you. And then I clicked the link, and it was just super legit bracket website thing. I did the whole thing earlier. I mean, obviously 1717, I
you can
biasly made it win.
You want to change. Yeah.
I don't want to change it. No, I'm sticking my guns on what I picked. And, I tried to do it all how I thought it should be. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but, so how do people get involved in this? Cause I want people to do as many people to do this as possible.
Yes, absolutely. So the link is posted in a lot of the Facebook groups. DJI is going to be posting stuff on Instagram. I'll be posting stuff on Instagram. That's where all the voting will be done. It'll be done in stories. We will do 4 matchups a day for the first round. And then after that, it'll just go one a day to kind of make it go through the whole month. So every day we will announce the winners of the matchups from the previous day. So it'll kind of be exciting, a little bit of, betting maybe between some shops of who thinks who's going to win. Just having fun, make it something to look forward to in the morning, just like when people, go watch the Super Bowl, just on a t-shirt level. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, it's easy to do.
So go sign up for it, do it. Yeah. It was cool. It took me 4 minutes to do the whole bracket. So just pop on and get it done and see if you can win $500 or see how close you can get to what your actual picks were.
Yeah. That'll be what's fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you look at what's ordered the most, and that's the thing, that this was like the most popular shirt. So yeah, the Gildan 5000 obviously gets ordered a ton, but is that really everybody's favorite shirt when it comes to like shops or people? So this will really be the people's choice, not necessarily like the highest grossing shirt
ordered the most.
Yeah.
Be honest about your picks. Try not to be biased. In that vein of kind of what we were talking about, I wanted to see, do you have any shop hacks, Miles, since the last time we talked?
Man, I know a situation we had the other day was making me wish I had a laser, but one of the hoses that holds the ink line, I guess eventually those just wear out and then they just start shooting ink everywhere. So I think a shop hack is knowing at what point the stage of your piece of equipment, things are going to start breaking, and making sure you have those replacement parts. Luckily we're close, so we get stuff pretty quick from M&R, but it's like, yeah, if you have a piece of equipment down, so making sure you have those backups for anything and everything to make your stuff keep rolling every day.
We talked about this before a long time ago, but I feel like it's something, and I can't remember if M&R offers it or not, but almost like a first aid kit for your press, basically, where it's like, these are the parts that go bad the most. Like say you got like half of a yellow cable or something. So like one of those goes bad. For us on our G3, it's always these vacuum chip things. So I have like 2 of each style, the knobs, or, maybe batteries for your, the memory thing under the press or whatever. Just like keep a box of all this random stuff. And so when it does come up or happens, then you can just swap it out and keep going. You don't have to wait like 2 days, 3 days.
Right. Be prepared. You're not, I mean, like I said, we're close. So it's like, if I really needed something, like when we were getting our presses installed, we didn't know we needed like I'm not even sure, like it's a transformer to regulate the power.
Yep. I have that on every single piece of equipment here. It's super annoying.
Same. So like when we had an old press installed, they were like, oh, this press will not run if it's not at this whatever
perfect
power
voltage. Yeah.
Right. So we got it, but then we got new presses, and I was thinking, oh, the new presses are probably fine. Like this was just for the old press. So like, nope. So, I mean, luckily we're close enough, Chicago, we could get it and get it all set up. And it wasn't just, the presses. It was also the Ecotex, the EcoRents, all those different things, all the 3-phase stuff, basically.
Everything. Yeah.
That you don't think about. And then you're like, okay, that's another power line. That's another electrician cost. It always adds up. So,
yeah. I think just in general, a shop should look at it kind of like that boat mentality of like, you're out in the middle of the ocean. You're not going to be able to grab what you need to grab immediately. Have almost 2 of everything if you can, or spare parts of everything. And the whole Kanban system of having like 2 of every ink. And then when the first one goes out, you order the next one. All of that's great. So yeah, having extras. And Rodney just left as I was about to ask him about he's leaving. He's going to make sure he has 2 of everything.
He's like, I got to get that figured out right now.
I got to go get those parts.
Yeah.
I can dive into this thing too. Jared from AKT sent this to me the other day, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I've talked about this on the show before, how my shipping boxes here, I order custom printed, but they're also custom die for multi-depth. So basically, like, I have one box that I use for every size order, 100 pieces, 50 pieces, 25 pieces. I can just cut down to the marks on the box and then fold the box and then ship it at that size. But anyway, he sent this to me. It was like an Instagram thing that somebody did.
Oh, dude, I was just going to say, why wouldn't you get one of those? It'd save you a ton of money.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I saw this the other day, and it's got the measurements on the side for how far down you want to go.
Yeah. And
you set the gauge, and then you can just like run it along the inside of your box. Yes. And it's perforated, and then you can just fold the box down and then ship it. So Dude, again, I probably spent like fucking, I don't know, $2,500 on a die.
Yes, I know.
For my custom boxes, when I could have bought this $16 thing on Amazon.
I thought you were going to say Uline. But
no, I got it on Amazon. I mean, you can probably get it at Uline, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
it's a Uline thing.
I got it on Amazon for $16. And I mean, it's more work. Like if you had to do this to every box, it would kind of suck, but it's not that big.
We're just making a smaller box. So we have our 12 by 16 by 22, and then we're making like 2 boxes that would fill up that same space. Yeah. So like our smaller 24 piece orders are going in that, or, 12 piece orders, whatever. So 2 boxes. I mean, yes, it would just have one. Great. But there's no die for it. It's just a standard kind of size box.
Yeah.
So
we basically figured out what our 100-piece box was, which is our 24, 16, 16. And then it goes, I think, from 16 to 14 to 12 to 10 as far as the height of the box. Okay. So there's it's called a multi-depth box. So basically, like, the 8 or 10 or whatever is our 25 to 50 piece box, and so on. We can make it smaller because we ship 95% of our orders, like almost next to nothing is local. So shipping for us is huge. And then once UPS made all of their shipments like dimensional, not just on weight, then it's a big deal for us to make sure our box is as small as possible to save on shipping. But anyway, I thought this was cool. I didn't know it existed. And cool. Then now I do. And it was 16 bucks.
I know I think that's the thing too, is like when you ask for a shop pack, you think like that's something super obvious that everybody knows, but obviously not everybody knows. Yeah. So,
But this is what I mean by, like, on our website, I want to have a resource that's like, oh, this is, box cutter downer, fucking perforator, $16. You know what I mean? Like, now everybody knows and they can go and they can get it.
Yeah.
Rodney, I'm guessing you went to grab something or you had to piss real quick. What was it?
Oh, yeah, no, the team just working on some projects, and they needed my immediate assistance for a second. So, yeah.
So you ran away. Okay.
Yeah.
I did want to.
It was full. He had to go empty it.
Yeah, he had to hurry up and go dump it out.
I do normally have a small bladder, so.
I did want to mention real quick, because it was kind of a big deal on the Discord as far as people congratulating Rodney, is the camera system on the auto as a shop hack today. Oh,
thanks, man. Yeah, that is a shop hack. I did a parts list. I put in like a private group, but I'll add it to the main screen print Discord. It's not that hard to install, so if anybody has questions, you can DM me.
I think the reason why I liked yours, though, is because you had input from a previous job where you were using an RV camera system.
Yeah.
Because I've seen other autos and other people use, and we had somebody on recently too that had a camera system on their auto, but it was kind of like everybody was using different kinds of camera systems. Like when I was thinking, I was like, oh, I'll just order some more Blink cameras because I have the Blink system for the shop. I was like, oh, I could just have one system that's just for the press and I'll get like 5 wireless Blink cameras. And you were like, no, well, inexpensively I can get an RV system with X amount of cameras, and it's got it's got the display, it's got the wiring, it's got the cameras.
Yeah, you like, it's really easy to like view multiple at one time or make it bigger or whatever, and they're really inexpensive. Like, you can get more expensive ones, of course, but yeah, like my time in the 12-volt car industry, like I am really grateful for that knowledge, because I apply it to a lot of random crap in the shop. Like in our lobby, I actually have another backup camera, like just a car backup camera system, instead of using like, we have Ring cameras everywhere that like I can see, but like I just have like a backup camera system to like, just a little backup camera. It views who's in the lobby, and the wire's like 10 feet long out into production, and there's just like a little 10-inch monitor there. So I mean, like the whole system was like $150, and you just turns on every day. And then if somebody is in the lobby, like the production team can quickly see what's going on out there. Yeah. Or, keep an eye on if like one of our sales, like Margarita's our account manager, she's just usually out helping there, but like, she's a woman by herself and up front. And it's like, you never know. So like they can kind of keep an eye on if somebody random walks into the store. So,
and for the people who
there's a lot of little things.
For the people who haven't seen it, the camera system is basically so that you can keep track of how much ink you have in the screen. So if you're printing a 500-piece run or whatever, you don't have to stop every so often, walk around the press and see if you need to card ink in. You can kind of keep an eye on it on the monitor in front of you.
And we usually have like a solo op. Like sometimes, like it depends on the job. Like we'll run 2 people, like a load and unload. But like the person that would normally be like our floater, they're also doing like screens and ink and stuff. So if there's not somebody there all the time, like, they have to like kind of call out. So either the press op has to stop and like walk around, or, they're just kind of like aimlessly calling out to somebody like, hey, so-and-so, can you come just like check my inks or whatever? But then they had to like check all the inks, right? Where this is like very helpful in the sense where it's like, hey, Jason, can you come card head 4? Because like that's the one that needs attention at that very moment. And so it's been a huge help in our scenario in our shop. Like the team loves it. And I think it works out really well.
That's awesome. Well, I
Yeah,
want to do.
shops use mirrors, but I don't know how they can actually see out those mirrors.
I've seen that too, like the old school skate park ones, like the big dome mirrors, where it's
we have one of those that like for our hallway, and I've never used it. Like I can't see it.
I think it's just more for seeing ghosts and like being like, oh, this person's over here. A lot of people use this at the end of their driveway so they can see if a car is coming down the road before they back out.
Yeah,
I think that's the big deal for those. Well, I wanted to get into a couple quick takes before we leave today. I'm trying to bring these back, and I got a couple in here. So, both Rodney and Miles, you guys can chime in. What shirt are you most proud of that your shop has printed so far?
Like the actual print?
Yeah, like what for a band or an artist or something. Like, what one are you proud of? Because I know like everyone has their one that you're. Holy shit, I can't believe we got to print this. We
did do a jersey one time for Alice Cooper.
See, there you go.
We didn't print it. It was like tackle twill, but the fact that we made it and then he wore it that night at the show was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
It was a Cubs jersey, which I'm more of a Cardinals fan myself, but it was.
So that's what tarnishes it for you?
Right. But I would say that'd be like maybe something cool and big that like is kind of a memorable moment.
Mm-hmm. Rodney?
Yeah, I don't know. But it'd probably be like just some really cool, like, I don't know. We have one downstairs. It's really cool, like sim process tattoo artist print with just a giant full front that I was really happy that we pulled it off.
So you're more stoked on it because of the technical aspect that you guys pulled it off.
But like, I think thinking back of it, like I know there's probably a couple that I'm just like totally blanking on, but like, they're pretty random, but for a while I knew this like promoter dude in Portland and he got me some random jobs. Like kind of printing like bootleg comedy, like comedian stuff. And we did like, I don't know if they were bootleg, like he printed, like he wanted me to print them for the artist and then gave them to him. But we did some for Andy Dick. And this was like in 2008, 2009, like when I like really early on. And then we did some for like Ralphie May in like 2010 or something like that. But like I did the artwork, like it was not like just random. Like, I don't know, but it was just cool. Like I printed like a small batch for him and he gave them to him. And then I don't know if Ralph ever did anything, but like he got a picture of Andy Dick with one. And I was like, that's cool. Like, and it was on my profile page. Like
he just went to an Andy Dick show and handed it to Andy Dick and was like, hey, I made this for you.
Yeah. But like, yeah, he was like basically like the booker guy for them. So
that's sweet.
I don't know. That was kind of cool.
Those ones are always some of my favorites is like the comedians or the bands where it's like, I actually really love this guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big Tom Segura fan and we got to print like his ball hog merch and like that ruled. Like that was super cool to be like, oh, we did this.
Right.
You know, and it's cool to like have those where you're like, oh, like this is a moment in time, you know, like these were specifically for that special. You know what I mean? Right. It's like we printed those. So it's really cool to like have that. So the comedian stuff has always been really fun for us. Second question. If you were arrested with no explanation, what do you think your friends and family would think you have done?
Well, I will just say the only time that I was arrested was for shooting somebody with a water gun.
How did you get arrested for that? Was it out of the van?
Long story, but no, I don't know. Before the world got crazy in high school, you'd play a game called Assassins and you go around like hunting people. Right. And we had a car full of like 20 super soakers and I was just shooting them out the window and I just shot the wrong guy and chased us down. And, you know, we all got arrested, went to jail. It was a good time. So I'd probably be like, oh,
so if you got arrested now, your family and friends would be like, oh, he was just playing Assassins again.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't say that now. That's not good. No.
Yeah. That's basically called a drive-by now. Like you just, you don't, it's not really something you want.
I was using one of those super soakers that shoots like the stream that's like the diameter of like a fire hose. You know, it's just like blast you. So I think this guy probably couldn't see out of his window after I hit his car.
Nice. Rodney, what would you get arrested for?
Man, I'd probably, it would either be like just like speeding or something or like fighting. Like they probably think I like popped off on somebody. Like fighting. Like I don't like, I'm not like a fighter. I'm not.
I was going to say, you definitely don't look like a fighter.
No, I'm not. But like there's been times where like, you know, there's a situation where somebody's like being like rude or something like that, like in a grocery store or something to someone, and like old me would definitely like pop off on them a little bit, or make some comments.
It's like drop kick them in the face or what?
No, just like, you know,
go out in the parking lot and take the valve stems out of their tires.
Just like kind of call them out for being, you know, an ass. But in, I don't know, kind of a hothead way. I don't know, something like that. Like I'm not that way anymore. I've learned to like, you know, be calm, cool, and collected. I'm a changed man. But yeah, but you know, old me though, like early 20s, that's probably yeah, I used to kind of do that a little bit. So
okay. Good. What shows or movies are you currently into?
I liked Money Heist.
That was good.
It was so good. I haven't watched anything really since.
One movie this year so far.
No, I haven't. It wasn't even this year. It was probably years ago, but like I just haven't watched anything.
Rodney, are you and Elisa into shows? Do you sit down and relax with shows?
Yeah, that's hard. We watch TV every single day. It's like my guilty pleasure. Sometimes too much.
I'm like really into Severance right now.
I tried to start watching that. It was like too boring.
I know that people say that it's like apparently the best show in the world. I like watched the first episode and I was just like, I don't know, maybe.
I'm on episode 4. Like people, basically everyone I've ever talked to about it has said that the first season is dry, like a slow burn, but then it gets so warped and weird that you're like really sucked in. And then season 2 so far is kind of like blowing their minds. So,
dude, I watched a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But movie wise, like the most recent kind of like movie that I watched, like we've been rewatching a lot of stuff. Been rewatching a lot of stuff from like the 80s. Rewatching a lot of TV shows, but like newer movie wise, like we just watched that one. It was like Speak No Evil, I think. Something about speaking. It was like James McAvoy, where like a family like meets his family, and then
and they take him to their house, and the one kid has like no tongue, and you're wondering like why.
Yeah, it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it, like, I had the impression that it was like more like torturous and like gruesome or something. It really wasn't that. It was more just like pure suspense and like also the like, why the hell do you keep going back type of thing? But like, I enjoy that. And then TV shows, like I just finished Reacher, and I'm like
good. The new one.
Like I think today, I think season 3 comes out like today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or something.
I loved Reacher. It was really good.
Yeah. Like I was surprised that, like that show was badass. And then Night Agent, like season 2 just came out, and that was kind of a cool one too. So
that was good because that guy was kind of like an unknown. I mean, to me anyway, the main character for that show. Yeah, that worked out really well. And they're kind of in the same vein too, that like CIA kind of.
Yeah, those are like my jam.
Nice.
For sure.
I have 2 young kids, so it's hard to watch anything. Everything's got bad content. So maybe when they get older,
you just got to introduce your kids to the bad content is all.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
The only thing that we've watched on like TV that they like is Shark Tank. They think that's pretty fun.
Oh, hell yeah. Shark Tank's the best.
That's like that's my travel show.
All right. I want each of you to pick 2 shops that you pull a lot of your inspiration from that people listening can check out.
Like inspiration, like design wise, or inspiration, like
anything. Like say it's their you follow them on Instagram and they have a lot of good stuff that you pull from that you're like, oh, like I love seeing the content from this place.
I think Superior is a good example of great content. Big shop, you know, everybody wants to be able to do big orders like that. And then maybe a smaller shop, Modest Merch. I like his rants and just like punk rockness and
skateboard and
kind of brings me, kind of brings me back to like where I started and just keeping it real, you know.
That's a totally 2 different ends of the spectrum picks.
Yeah. Super polished and super unpolished. Yeah.
I like it. Rodney?
I'm going to say one shop I think is interesting, and like his story's kind of changed a lot, but I've just been like really, I really like watching his story is Sunny Side Up Printing. This guy in California. It's like an Anatol shop, and then just kind of like solo mostly. But he like was very like posts a lot about just like his life and just like talks like, this is what's going on today.
Blog
and
style.
you know, and then he recently like partnered with another shop. I don't know, it's like the full scenario, but I think now he like works with another shop and got kind of rid of his own. But still has his own brand and everything. And I thought that was kind of cool and interesting thing to like realize like that's, you know, the move that he needed to make.
Yeah.
And then the other one I think is just easy is like independent print shop, because Brandon's prints are so freaking good. And I just see them and I'm like, it's stupid. like I like to think I'm a really good printer. And then I look at his stuff and I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah. Brandon's awesome. He's got some, I really like people like Brandon, and I guess the Sunnyside guy you were talking about is because it's kind of when it's almost a small shop to where they're more solo, they get more inventive. You know what I mean? You get to see how they're making things work with just them, or, you know, like Brandon's really good because he's doing the whole process, but also he's the owner and he's invested in every print. Whereas if he was just like a figurehead and then he hired other people to do it, it might be a different story. So it's cool to see like he is invested in making this as good as it can get.
For sure.
What's the guy that does like the full all over print, like comic stuff? Do you know what I'm talking about?
We had him on the show.
Zach Merrill.
Zach.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's probably where I saw him, but I couldn't think of his name. His stuff's pretty cool too.
His stuff's awesome, and he's doing it such an old school way with like the panels and individually.
I know, it's like how are you doing this?
It's way more of an art project than
Yeah.
a screen printing shop, but it's awesome. I really enjoy what he's doing, and I just like nerding out on that kind of stuff, like seeing that. So no, these were good, solid picks. My last question is
that Elisa's always like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Elisa will like see stuff like that, and she's like, okay, I want to do that. And I'm like,
not right now.
That's cool. It's not
On the
like
weekend.
not right now. Yeah. not right now. Yeah.
My last question is for Miles. What the hell's going on with Park? Are you guys just playing shows once in a great while? Are you not playing at all? My thing with Park is that there's a huge resurgence of bands that were popular when you guys got together and going. And it's like, why are you not fucking hopping that train right now?
We were a band's band. Like the bands that we played with liked us, but the people didn't care for us as much as they cared for those.
That's
bands.
not accurate. I was a fan. Still am.
Okay, you're one. But no, I was hoping I would have some news for you for a show, but I don't yet. I'm waiting to hear. But it would be a very cool, fun show with actually another band that is printers. But they are on a very big tour, and we're trying to maybe hop on a show, which would be fun.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we all got kids, we all got lives. It's hard to do it. You know, these guys that still do it, I definitely envy them. I don't think we'll ever get to tour. I think the plan is just to work on some new music, re-release some vinyls, and just have fun with it. I don't know.
The funny thing is I'm going to sound corny as hell, but I don't care. Is like when I was in high school, I was that kid who just went to every show possible. Like I had my license suspended and I was still driving from here to Buffalo to Rochester to Syracuse, whatever, going to shows like almost every other day. And then when I got in a band myself, I was doing all, those shows and going to other people's shows and doing the whole local scene thing, but then still driving to these bigger ones or whatever. And I remember one of my favorite things at the time was to go to this place called Coconuts. I don't know if Coconuts was a big chain or not. It was just a record store.
Yep.
So I would drive like after school and go to like Taco Bell and then go to Coconuts, and I would sit there with the headphones on and like listen to all these new CDs. And I remember I would always find these like, rock and roll or emo or whatever records and, hardcore stuff I was really into. And I remember I came across Park. And I was like, oh, I really like this band. And then I got really into it. And then a couple of my buddies that I was always with, like, got really into it. And I can't remember where we went and saw you guys, but we did. And I remember because Nick bought a Park hoodie, and I loved the albums. I listened to it all the time. And then years later, I still have I think the Park CDs at the house, and years and years later, I don't remember how I found out. I think talking to you or something.
Well, I think you just like on one of your Instagram, like you were probably listening to it and you just like posted.
Oh, I posted it, and you were like, "Hey, you know, I'm in this fucking band, right?"
Yeah, and you were like, "No way." So yeah, that was pretty funny.
It blew my mind. I was like, "Holy fuck! Like, how did I not know?"
Nobody cares
this?
about the drummer. Nobody knows who the drummer is.
Dude, I again, it was just one of those things. It was one of those bands that I go back to every so often, like in my Spotify and stuff. Like I have a couple of those bands that weren't super well known, but I just loved the whole album. And it's like there was another band
which album
North
would be your favorite? Oh yeah, North Star. We toured with those guys. Yeah,
yeah. Like I love their Pollyanna album, and like I listen to that all the time. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like I think with you guys, there's like the two main albums that I listen to both of them. Like I just like they're albums that I can listen to the whole thing. It's not like I pick one song or two songs and it's in a slew of other things. It's like I just listen to the front to back.
Albums. Everything's like a single. So like kids don't listen to albums nowadays.
That's not
where we
me.
used to pop it in the car, in the CD player, and listen to it all day.
No, you know? I pick a whole album and I like it front to back. Like one of my favorites of the time too is like the It's a Real Boy Say Anything album, and it's like that's one of my favorite records of all time, and I'll listen to that front to back. And I got soul crushed a little while ago. I think it was last year. Me and Christina went and saw him in Orlando, and it was a fucking shit show. It was terrible.
Oh,
that sucks.
They
I don't want to ever be that. I don't want to ever be that. So that's why it's always like scary. It's like you play your show, you're like, was this the last show? Like, did we do a good job?
That album for everybody, in my opinion, with that band is like the only real album anybody cared about was It's a Real Boy album. And it was great front to back. They made a masterpiece, in my opinion, whatever. So when you go to that nostalgia show, you're like, I want to hear, and they played the whole album front to back. That's what it was. Like you would go, they would do it, whatever. And Max sung so out of like tune and time that it was terrible. Like everybody in the crowd wanted to sing every word. You know what I mean? They wanted to be part of the crowd and part of the group. And he was just like going off on his fucking own. And it's like literally everybody was so frustrated that you could see in their faces, like, what are you doing? And then afterwards there was like all these comments because they posted to Instagram, like, oh, we had a show in Orlando tonight or whatever. Everybody was like, this was atrocious. This was like, oh no, what are you doing? Like whatever. And it was just like, it ruined it for me. Like it made me like, so don't do that to me, please. If you guys are going to play exactly how you played on the album. Don't fuck me, Miles.
Lots of practice. We'll make sure we practice a lot. I think that's the one thing as you get older, it's hard to sit down and practice. I mean, we used to practice so much. Yeah. And it's just like,
if you're listening to this, go on Spotify, find Park.
You can't find. It's so hard to find. Like that's the problem. Like when you make a band name before the internet, like search Park, good fucking luck. You're not going to find it. But if you type in like the albums, like Park No Signal, Park It Won't Snow, Park Building a Better, those three things will help you get there.
Okay. Well, go find it. And it's great. I promise you it's a good time. Or
Park Lobster Records, Park Springfield, Illinois. But yeah, actually the one thing I was really mad about, I used to have parkmusic.com and then I let it lapse. And then now it says it's worth like $50,000 or something. And I'm like, man, I should have kept that one. Damn. I have so many stupid website domains, and that's the one that I like.
That's the one you let go. Yeah.
Man, seriously. One of these days I'll have a good website domain story, but not now.
Well, Rodney, thank you for guest hosting with me today. Miles, thank you so much for being on. You guys were awesome. This was a great conversation. There were more notes that we had that we wanted to get into, but I don't want this to be a Joe Rogan 3-hour episode. So I appreciate you both so much. Thank you for doing what you're doing in the industry. Man. Rodney, you guys have amazing content, and I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Informative. Miles, keep doing the sure thing. Keep fucking being my hero on the drums, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Yeah. See you next time, man.
Later.